Hey everybody, it's Miss A. Welcome to Math in Minutes. We have our Chapter 9 Math Test Review. I wanted to go ahead and go over that with you guys and give a couple practice and show you how to log into Think Central. So the topics will be tested on tomorrow. Please study the guide and practice. And let me see if I can bring this in any closer. Here we go. Complete pages 373 through 375 on Think Central. You can access Think Central by going to Student Connections through www.sdhc.k12.fl.us. I will show you how to access this. These are the topics of testing. Change fractions to decimals, change decimals to fractions, convert models into fractions. You have to be able to change fractions to decimals into money, compare decimals, turn mixed numbers into decimals, convert hundredths and tenths, convert tenths to hundredths and hundredths to tenths, sort money word problems, know which coins represent certain amounts, add fractions with unlike denominators, and that's only tenths and hundredths. The students have this, the second class does. The first class wrote it down. And these are the coins that they need to know. So obviously a penny, and usually students don't have a hard time with this. The silver coins on here, they have a hard time. They need to be able to recognize it. They need to know the value. This is a quarter worth 25 cents. It has a picture of George Washington on it. This is a dime. This is the smallest silver coin. This is a nickel. It's worth 5 cents. That's the medium-sized silver coin. Medium. This is a $50. It is the largest silver coin. We don't see it often, but that may come up on the test, so they do need to know that. So these are the coins that they will need to know. So now let's talk about some examples of what all of these are. So first things first, it says convert fractions to decimals. Now, just a note, side note, only fractions with tenths and hundredths will be on this test. Hundredths will be on the test. Only fractions of tenths and hundredths. So if they get an answer option, which let's say it is 12/19ths, that is not a correct answer for this test. The answer options will only be in tenths and hundredths, and those are the only possible right answers. So here's the first one, change fractions to decimals. So if I have 2 tenths, and I need to change this into a decimal, and we've done this before, the number of zeros tells me how many place values after the decimal point. So there's my decimal point. A fraction means it has to be a decimal. It's written, they mean the same thing, they're just written differently. 1 0, 1 place value, and put my numerator in the place value. So that's how I change a fraction to a decimal. I also need to be able to change fractions. Oh, let me do it with hundredths as well. So let's do 12 100ths. 2 zeros, 1, 2. That means 2 place values after the decimal point, and then 1, 2. Now let's look at here. Let's say we have 9 100ths. And this is the one where students make the most mistakes. There are 2 place values, and they usually get this right. Now placement of this numerator, because there's only 1 digit and we have 2 place values, this is over 100. This represents my tenth spot. This represents my hundredth spot. So the 9 would go in the hundredth spot, and the 0 would be the placeholder. So 9 100ths is 0.09. They need to be able to convert decimals to fractions. So if I have 0.17, 2 place values means my denominator is 100, and you write the numerator on top. 0.9, 1 place value. That means my denominator is a 10, numerator on top. They have to be able to change fractions or decimals into money. So here, if I have 2/10 and I need to change that into money, money is always 2 place values after the decimal point. 1, 2. This is over tenths, so the 2 would go there and the 0 would go here because you have to have 2 place values and you need the money sign in front. So that's how I change 2/10 into 20 cents. 17 100ths into money, money sign, decimal point, 2 place values, 1 7. You have to be able to compare decimals. We showed them comparing decimals with a place value chart. This represents our ones. This represents our tenths. This represents our hundredths. And this is our decimal point. So when we are comparing numbers, we start with the greatest place value. So I have 2, 7, 8. I start with my greatest place value, which this happens to be the ones. It might be the tens, but I start all the way to the left. This place value tells me that they're equal, so this doesn't help me. I go to my tenths. I see that my 7 is greater, so I write my numbers. 2.78 is greater than 2.64. Now, it depends on what number's first, whatever the place value should be. So if I have 2, 5, 3, 2, 5, 7. So looking at this, I start all the way to the left. My 2's tell me that they're equal. I go to my tenths. The 5's tell me that they're equal. I go to the hundredths. The 7 here tells me that it's more. So 2.53, you write the first number that's on top, is less than, because that's the smaller one, 2.57. The students need to be able to convert tenths to hundredths. So we know that if we have 7 tenths, what we're doing mathematically is multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by 10 over 10, which equals 70 100ths. But what I've told the kids is 7 tenths, you add a 0 to the top, 0 to the bottom, you get the same thing, and it's a lot less work. 50 100ths, we also need to know how to convert hundredths into tenths. So we divide both the top and bottom by 10 over 10. And if we do that, that gives us 5 tenths. And what I told the children is 50 100ths. If there's a 0 on top and a 0 on the bottom, you can take it off, and then that will give you the same answer. We need to be able to sort money problems. So let's look at the problem that's on this paper. It says May has $3.20. She must split the money between herself and her sister. So what we know, she has $3.20. And there are 2 girls. How much money will each girl get is what they're asking, is how much. So we need to be able to split this amongst May and her sister. So I'm going to label this May, sister. So we have $3. Put this here, get it out of the way. You start with the greatest value first and split it as much as you can. So $3 is 3 $1 bills. So I can take $1 and put it here, $1 and put it here. That leaves me with $1 left over, which I can't just rip in half. I have to convert it, and that's why they need to understand the value of money. So this will change into 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. So that has now become 4 quarters. So now I can divide the 4 quarters amongst the 2 girls. 1 for her, 1 for her, 1 to May, and 1 to the sister. So now I've sorted my dollar bills. Those are done. Now I need to go into my change, which was 0.20, 0.20 cents, and 20 cents is equal to 2 dimes. So I could put 1 dime here, 1 dime here, and I've now sorted my money. Now I need to determine how much will each girl get. $1.25, $1.50, $1.10. Now, what I do when I add it, and this is one of the techniques that I use, 1.00, we line up our decimals, 25, 25, and 10, add them together. 5, 10, regroup a 1, 1, 2, 4, 6, decimal point gets brought down, 1, each girl gets $1.60. So they need to be able to do that. They also will be given an amount of money. Let's put that here. You might be given an amount of money of 97 cents. And they need to give what denominations they could make 97 cents. So for example, we could do 3/4, which is equal to 75 cents. And we could do 2 dimes, which is another 20 cents. And we could do 2 pennies, which is equal to 2 cents. And now we figure that out. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. 97 cents. So they need to be able to do this as well. And they need to be able to add fractions with unlike denominators. For example, 5/10 plus 70/100ths. Now there are 2 ways that I could approach this. You could say, is it easier to turn this tenth into 100, or is it easier to turn this 100 into tenths? Either one will still give you a right answer. So let's go with turning this tenths into hundredths, which would make it 50/100ths plus 70/100ths, which equals 120/100ths. Or we could do turning the 100ths into tenths. So that's 5/10 plus, take away a 0 from top and bottom, 7/10 equals 12/10. These are equivalent. They can only do this, though, if there's a 0 on the top and bottom. All right, so let me go ahead and show you the pages that they will need to do. 370. All right, so the pages will look like this. This is, let me back this up just a little bit. Here we go. It's the chapter review for the test. There are some vocabulary. There is creating the fraction and decimal shown by the model. So here's a tenth, here's a hundredth. Write the number as hundredths in fraction form and decimal form. So they want it, you need to turn it into a hundredth and then write it as a decimal. Here's find the sum. Here's comparing with symbols. So this is page 373. Page 374, let me make sure that's on here. Which of these fractions or mixed numbers or decimals shown below? So here's a model. This is 1 whole. If the whole thing's colored, you know it has to be 1 whole, so we can get rid of answer option A. And then we have to count how many are here to figure out the fraction. Once you figure out how many are here, you will find that fraction, and then you'll change it into a decimal. Here they're using a place value chart to find the equivalent fraction. Here they have money, and they want the money written in fraction form. Here is page 375. It's the last page, so it's 21 questions. Here they want to know what decimal is this model. Here is a question adding unlike denominators, and here's a question when it comes to money. So I hope this video helps. I will go ahead and upload this for the review, and I will do a video on how to access Think Central through the internet. Thanks for watching, everybody.